today I'm going to show you how to make old-fashioned fig Newtons. And our key ingredients are lard and a homemade fig jam. Now, some of you might be surprised that we're using lard in the pastries, but in old times and in old countries, like the country where I came from, very often lard was used to make very flaky doughs. And so today we're going to go and experiment with lard instead of butter. Now, for those of you who can't have lard, you can substitute lard for butter and the recipe will come out just as good. But to keep it old-fashioned and authentic, we're going to go with lard, and then I'm going to tell you a little bit about the type of jam that I will be using for these fig Newtons. So we're going with 8 ounces of lard, and what we need to do is to bring it to the room temperature and then whip it so it's all nice and fluffy like this. After that, we are adding a cup of the powdered sugar and continue to blend this in before you add some lemon zest. This is per your taste, and for me, I'm gonna add the zest of the entire lemon. Figs on their own are very sweet and neutral type of fruit. So anytime you cook or bake with figs, it's always good to add some sort of acid, and that's why we're adding so much lemon juice in the dough itself. Lemon juice will also help make the dough extra flaky. Now let's go with about a tablespoon of real vanilla, a good pinch of sea salt, and a couple of eggs. And as always, when you bake, if you have homegrown eggs, that's always a plus because your pastry will look nice and yellow. Okay, here we have a half a teaspoon of the dry active yeast. Let's blend all this together, and for that I would suggest that you switch your spatula for the whisk and you do your best to bring these ingredients together before we add flour. We will add 3 cups of flour altogether, but I suggest that you add 1 cup at a time and that each time you incorporate it really well into this mixture. Work your dough until you have this consistency and then add the 2nd cup of flour. Now, bringing the flour in gradually and making sure that you don't have lumps either of lard or flour in your dough is very important. So you're aiming for a smooth and silky texture. All right, and now we are ready for our 3rd cup, which is a final cup, and I'm gonna gradually bring this flour in as well until I reach consistency of a dough that looks like this. Let's talk about our jam, because this is one of our 2 key ingredients in this recipe. As I was saying, this jam makes all the difference, and I will tell you quickly why. Normally when you make fig jam, you just start with fresh figs and sugar, and then you will cook that until you reduce the moisture and you basically end up with jam. You jar that, and that's about as simple as it goes. Now with this particular jam, what I have done, I have dried the figs first. So I went through the process of dehydrating them and then cooking them with sugar and just a little bit of water. And the reason I did this is because I wanted to preserve the shape of fig, and also I wanted jam to be super concentrated. So not just that we have a concentrated flavor, but now we have these figs which kept their shape, and when you bite into the jam, or you bite in this case through the fig Newton, you're still biting into a fig. The process takes longer, and I would not recommend that you guys do it, but I was experimenting and I wanted to have that special fig texture and flavor, and it was successful. It was by far the best fig jam I ever made. So this will help make this fig Newtons even better. We have our jam ready, and now let's focus on the dough. A quick tip about the dough. If you have time and you're not in a rush to make them, I would suggest to let the dough rest in the fridge for a little bit, because anytime you cool the fatty dough before you bake it, you're gonna achieve extra flakiness. So if you have time, let the dough rest in the fridge for a little bit, then spread it, roll it, and you might want to put the pre-cut Newtons in the fridge again before you bake it. Think about it as a croissant. You know, when you make a croissant, you apply cold butter between layers of dough, and that's how croissants get that flakiness. The similar thing works with the dough that we made, and so cooling it will help the Newtons be a little bit more flaky.
We're going to continue working on the dough now, and the next steps are pretty simple. You're just going to continue to improve the texture, and your dough should look something like this. Then we're simply going to separate it into pieces, work each piece a little bit before we spread it out and fill it out. The dough should be easy to work with, and it should easily spread out. And I would suggest that as you do this, you go for this rectangular shape. Just cut it in half when you reach the perfect thickness. Fill each side, and we're just gonna roll it. So you see the amount of figs that I'm putting in, and this is ground almonds. And the reason I'm putting ground almonds on is to absorb the extra moisture so the Newtons stay nice and firm so we don't have the leakage. Okay, now that we have them formed, we're just gonna cut them in pieces and set them to bake. When it comes to baking, it takes about 30 to 40 minutes depending on your oven on 350.
They are about done. Because this dough is fatty dough, you need to bake them just a little bit longer than you would normally bake the other doughs. So this looks about done. They're very nice and soft, and they look good. And as you can see, the filling stayed inside. It did not leak. So the key to that is a good jam or preserve, and the almond flour that we used. I'm gonna leave them in just for another minute. Now let's see the bread. The bread is doing good too. I hope you agree that they look good, and I have no doubt that they will taste just as wonderful. Now that you saw how good the homemade fig jam looks, the next step would be to go to your local orchard or local nursery and pick up a fig tree. Plant a fig tree. I can't say enough how easy these trees are to grow, how disease resistant, and how abundant they are in giving fruit. So if you think that you don't have a green thumb and you think like, now, I don't want to take care of a tree, figs pretty much take care of themselves. All you need to do is to trim them once a year if you don't want them to grow too big, and they will give you abundance of fruit. Enough for you, for your neighbors, and for the birds. And the point is, it's so easy to grow it. And right there, in a year almost, you can have fresh organic fruit. Okay, that's all for today. Thank you all for watching, and for those of you who are following my channel, thank you so much for all the comments that you're leaving. For all of you who are new here, my name is Vlada, and this channel is all about promoting healthier, more natural way of life, and bringing communities and families back to dining table. All our content is clean, positive, simple, it's educational, encouraging, informative. So if you're looking for a clean, helpful channel, check us out. And if you like us, give us a thumbs up and subscribe. Thank you again, guys. Until the next recipe, please take good care of yourself and those around you.